All right, well, it's March 7th, 2023. This is the town manager Q&A at 6 p.m. We can go ahead and get started. If others want to join, I'll let them in once they come in. But I see we just have two people, Jonathan and Tom. Tom, it's been a while.
Yes, sir. I saw it on the internet, so I said, well, I'm just going to tap in and see how you're doing.
Still gray hair. Still got the munchkins who are taking a bath right now, if you hear them in the background, but all is well on a personal front. But yeah, we got a lot of development in town going on. Some hot buttons, which is the 500 block, and then also the pavilion. But other than that, things are peachy.
Good.
Any questions or anything like that? Any pickleball concerns?
Hopefully not.
No,
I have not heard anything else on it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that they were looking at possibly the Main Street courts, doing some additional lining on that court with a portable net. But I think it's in discussions. I haven't signed a rec for it, but I'm sure I'll hear from the neighbors if that ever goes into effect. So, yeah, well, Jonathan, you said you were going to clean the grill, but do you have any questions, any concerns, anything like that? Any updates?
Yeah, so I was kind of curious about the boat ramp right now. I noticed that there's cones and stuff sitting out there. Obviously the gate keypad had been put up. So I'm just kind of curious, what's the timeline, I guess, on that being finished? And then obviously I know law enforcement's been able to move the cones and put their boat in and out, right? Is that close to us residents right now?
Yeah, it is right now. And the reason that is because we're pretty much following Orange County. They closed down the Keens Point ramp as well as the 6th Avenue ramp because the water levels are too high. With the quote unquote drought that we're experiencing, once it hits a certain level, then Orange County will open up their boat ramps. But it seems counterproductive if we were to open ours and they keep theirs closed. We are allowing people to, if they need their docks repaired, we'll allow the repair companies to come in and repair those docks. If they buy a new boat and they want to dock it, we have no problem with that. Or if they need their boat repaired, we'll go ahead and get that done. Am I hoping that everything will be done prior to, well, spring break's starting pretty much Friday. I wish, but we're pretty much in step with Orange County. So we're directing everybody to contact their District 1 commissioner to see where they're at as far as opening up those boat ramps. But again, if we were to open up bars and then the county keeps theirs closed, then it becomes more of an enforcement issue on our two ramps. So that's why we're trying to stay in lockstep with them.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I got to do some maintenance to our motor, and I need to test it probably within the next week or so. So that's why I was just kind of curious. And then I'm assuming the key that I bought in September, October, I think, is still good. I'm assuming that doesn't change till every October, correct?
Yeah, well, we're going to be beginning to utilize the keypad system. And once we have that in place, then you'll just come in, pay the same amount of money, and you'll get a key code. And it's the same as getting a key. And then also pedestrian gate keys, or not keys, but a keypad code for pedestrian access. But it's going to be the same similar system. It just gives us more accountability. As far as if some issue arises, then we know who punched in, and then we have the cameras there as well. But if you need to get your boat out and test the engine or anything like that, just shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to let them know a date and a time, and they'll let you in.
Okay, that's cool. That's nice and easy. I appreciate. I'm frozen a little bit. All right, there I am. Woo, Zoom, I love it. But yeah, I appreciate that. And then as far as like the other, I guess the other parks that are in town, Lake Street Park, I know that's a big, obviously I think the dock is potentially still damaged.
Yeah.
I guess fixing that kind of stuff. And then I know there had been some discussion about potentially changing that, refunding the grant money to that. Is that still in the process, or did I hear that correctly? I guess that.
Yeah, we're actually having a workshop on March 28th to go over Lake Street and Lake Down parks. We're waiting on, I believe, 2 more quotes for the dock in order to repair it, because we need to get certain quotes and a certain amount of exposure to make sure that FEMA pays us back for that money. So we're actively doing that. But on March 28th, we're going to have that presentation to show the residents and council, here are our options.
Okay.
Basically, we can't repay the FERDAP funds, but what we can do is pretty much fence it off and create that key code to where residents are charged a certain amount, and then non-residents would be charged a different amount. So if you don't have the key code, then you're not able to access the Lake Street or Lake Down Park.
Okay.
But we need to still keep them public, but there's still certain restrictions we could place on it as far as capacity, so on and so forth.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that on March 28th and see what town council is willing to adopt.
Okay. What was that? Okay. All right. Well, I'll plan for March 28th then to be present for that. So I appreciate your explanations. And then once I get it fixed and need to do some testing and whatnot, then I will send over some potential date and times. Probably Friday to Sunday would probably be ideal, I think, for right now. So
yeah, just shoot me an email just so I can let PD and Public Works know. And we've been very amenable to this kind of things.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the explanations.
All right, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Just as iPhone. So you have any questions, concerns, need any updates on anything? iPhone doesn't have a name, so I'm gonna call you iPhone until you can unmute, since Tom doesn't have anything to add to the conversation. Oh, we have another guest.
How about that?
Yes, sir.
How about that? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little disconnected, but I can still hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Robert, it's Court Voorhees. How are you?
Hey, Court. Long time.
Hey. Good. Yep. Sorry, I'm in the car, so that's why I'm having some technical difficulties. But yes, thank you for holding this. My 2 questions involve one, 2nd Avenue paving project. Just trying to see what's going on with that.
Okay. That one, we have pretty much abided by everything that Department of Emergency Management has required us to do, which was pretty much 2 years of hurdles. We met the CBA, which is the cost benefit analysis for the project itself. So now we are just waiting for DEM, Department of Emergency Management, to send us the contract for the construction. Once I sign that contract, I believe we can get started this fall.
Okay, so potentially this year then.
Yeah, it's nothing on our end. Once you get into the Fed money, it's a lot of red tape, and we apologize it's taken this long, but
Sure.
We're hoping for the fall. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nobody. I was just curious. My second one is a little more nebulous, and it's just something I see a lot, and I'm trying to just let you know what's going on, and it's the police department's doing such a good job. They really have got a lot to do, but I see fully loaded semis driving over the little bridge on Main Street all the time. I saw one this morning. Fully loaded with dirt. That thing's, it's a 10-ton weight limit. I think a fully loaded dump truck weighs something like 20 or 30 tons.
Yeah.
They're just willfully ignoring it. Car carriers from the auction on Tuesdays, and they're doing it because on their map quest, it says, on their maps thing, it says it's a 439 or whatever our street road is. But when they get in there, they realize it's wrong, but they still should be crossing that bridge. And if they are, then they should be getting ticketed. And I think we can ticket it now with the sign that says 10-ton weight limit, and there's a truck route sign as well.
Yeah, there's that right there is a catch-22. Number one, we have to make sure that they're not making a delivery within town, because they are allowed to exceed that 10 tons if they're making a delivery within town. So
I never knew that. That's fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. And then the car auctioneers, they kind of learn the hard way. because when they do come in town and have
It drags
experienced
its tracks, the trees scratch all the cars.
oh, it rips the cars apart, and that's probably the last time that person is
I
driving
get it.
ever
I get it.
again.
Yeah, I get it.
But
No worry. I just worry about
when-
the bridge. I know the bridge eventually need to be repaired, and I know it's gonna be
Yeah.
expensive, and I just worry about it with weight limits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That
we
seems
do
to be an
inspe-
area.
Yeah, we do inspections on that bridge frequently, and it is a sound bridge.
Good.
We haven't seen any faults. Like if it was an inch longer, then it would be under FDOT's control. So it's a good thing that it's not an inch longer. So it's under
That's
our control,
fascinating.
so we can we have it inspected and make sure that it's sound and it can hold the weight limits.
Okay. No sweat.
But
I
again,
know you're on
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, and then court too, like if we pull over a semi, it's like number
Where are
one,
they
where
gonna-
do we pull it? Where
I
do we
get
pull
it.
it over? So it's
Mhm.
it's against that catch-22, but we work with FHP and some others just to make sure that they know about the enforcement and go from there. But
I
it's
didn't
just
know that
difficult.
first thing. I didn't know that first thing. So then one last question, if I may, the multimodal path along that same area, right? With the bridge replacement for the pedestrian bridge and dirt main.
Yeah.
Just checking in. I'm just
Oh
curious.
yeah. No. So again, with Fed money, since we got 760,000 from the federal government, they require District 5 FDOT requires a lap certification. So we should have had that money over the winter, but District 5 believed that we weren't able to achieve lap certification by April of this year. So in order to provide time for District 5 FDOT and the town to get lap certified, it was rolled into the Fed's next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. So we're trying to work with their reps to get at least started on the lap certification. It's been pretty hard to get the information on that. But July 1st is when that money is obligated to this project, and we can start on the lap certification and then get that project going. We asked for an additional $1 million from the state this fiscal year, from the state appropriations. We did another $10 million for the entire town potable water system, and then also a wastewater study as well. So we're trying to get some of that stuff done, and then also improvements to the 6th Avenue roundabout, intersection improvements on Windermere Road and Main Street and Chase and Main. So I think all in all, about $19 million was requested from the state to see if they would appropriate those funds for infrastructure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I like going to the state better than the feds, just my personal take on it, but whatever. You're very patient. You're much more patient than I.
Yeah, I'm patient because, after
It's
20
just
years
the way
of
it
doing
is.
this,
Yeah.
I'm kind of used to it. But with the HMGP grants, which were from Hurricane Irma, it just seems like every agency just needs to have their mark on something. And it's becoming frustrating for us as staff when we're having to respond to the same things over and over again. And then staff changes and then having to re-educate them on that.
Right.
And then once you check every box on their sheet, they add 5 more. And so, when we promised, last fall, now it's this fall, but they have to spend those funds by December of 2024. So that's why I believe that we are going to be getting the money and start construction this fall.
Fair enough. Okay. How do you like your new offices in town hall?
Love it.
Offices. Good.
Yeah, love it. I mean, we got accreditation right away. We've been in there for a year now, but it's a lot more user friendly. It is, it's a blessing. It helps, not only with the training room, but also, number one, for the accreditation from the police department, but from a staff morale standpoint, and also for other reasons, it's just a blessing, and we thank the community for supporting that.
Good. All right. Well, thank you and the entire staff for everything you do. And is anyone else on the call? Was it just the 2 of us that called in?
No, there is actually 7 people on.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna click out just because I'm driving. But thank you, Robert, and we'll talk to you a little later.
All right, thanks, Court. Take care, man.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Junior.
JR actually.
JR, sorry. What's funny is my parents bought me a shirt that said I shot JR back in the Dallas days. That's how old I am right now, I guess. But yeah.
Wow, yeah, those are old days.
Yes, sir.
Just wondering, kind of speaking of new facilities, what has transpired since we had that sort of public input meeting with the Rotary's proposal of the outdoor stage facility, and also any update as well on the brick paving request in the street continuation from the brewery and the town's businesses.
Yeah, the Fifth Avenue paving and the brick, that's a no-go at this point. We can maybe address it sometime in the future, but based on the public comment and also the town council's recommendation is to leave it as is for now. As far as the pavilion, myself, Tanya, who's on the call, the public works director, and John Fitzgibbon had a meeting with the Rotary Foundation about the concerns from the residents. So they're going to go back to their board and see what they're willing to accept or not accept, and then get back to us. But I believe there's going to be more conversations about that with the residents and with town council.
Yeah, and you may not have the answer to this, but I've been thinking about it a bit, and I'm kind of wondering, would it be more appropriate for the town to sort of say, look, we're gonna draw these plans, we're gonna spend our funds to draw up a revised set of plans, the revised stage, bathroom, whatever that is more acceptable to us. We don't want the Rotary to incur any more expense, and we will drive the bus these plans to you, and if you like them, if you think it's a suitable facility that the Rotary can also use, and then graciously you would say, okay, we will then use our money for that. But this way we're not putting more emphasis on the Rotary doing all this legwork, which I feel kind of terrible about, that the Rotary's done so much legwork and the town's kind of sat back and just kind of said yes, 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 and now all of a sudden we have a lot of debate over it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that that's unusual at the 11th hour to have a lot of comments and concerns about a project, but that's local government. This has been in discussions for 5 years now. Understandably they're frustrated, but yeah, we did discuss that any cost overruns relative to the design or anything that would be a burden because of the town, I would talk to town council about funding that delta. But as far as the design goes, the only contractual obligation we have are those items that were in the contract, which includes concessions, pavilion, and restrooms. So as far as design, they have, and I hate to be blunt, but they really don't have a say. The concepts that have been approved are the concepts, but the 45% plans have been approved. But as long as we meet those 3 criteria, then that is something that town council can proceed with. But we did have a discussion with them this afternoon, actually at 4:00, and lasted over an hour, and I think it was very productive. So we'll see what their foundation has to say.
Right.
And they're going to give me a full cost and accounting of what's been spent thus far.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we need, a facility. We do need bathrooms. We need, we need all that stuff. I don't know. It's probably more a discussion for the town council and the mayor, but I just feel like it could have gone so much smoother in a way that if the town were to be driving the bus, presenting the plans, rather than saying, to the Rotary, here, present us something, here, present us something, here, present us something. It seems backwards, but I'm really thankful. I hope you guys can to a
Yeah.
good agreement and
No,
produce
I mean,
something.
we've been working with the Rotary Foundation the entire time. We've been working on this for 5 years. We have a third-party consultant, John Fitzgibbon, working with ZHA, Hunter Brady, on allowing us to provide input on design, site plans, stuff like that. So it's not like we're just saying, hey, just spitball it and just give us something. We've had a lot of discussions on look, feel, and the site plan itself. It's just, again, sometimes things change and we have to possibly adapt to that change, which is occurring right now.
Great. Well, I think that's the only two things I was wondering about. So thanks for having
All
the
right.
meeting.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Go ahead and lower your hand. And then I got iPhone 8.
Hi, Mr. Smith. I think that's me. I'm sorry. I always miss the area where you get to enter your name, so I apologize. But
No,
this
that's
is
no problem.
Gloria. This is Gloria Groom, and I live at 416 East 6th Avenue in Windermere.
Mhm.
And my question is, will there be any further review of the blockade that was installed on Oakland? Because the reason I'm asking is because first they clamored and requested all the roads be blocked, and then they finally did get a blockade. And then I don't know what was going on, but now apparently it's not working as well as thought it would be. And now on occasion, they utilize a police vehicle at that same blockade. And I live on East 6th Avenue, which is like 10,000 times busier than Oakdale. So I feel a little resentful. Please forgive me.
No
But-
worries, no worries.
I'm just being honest. But I feel a little bit resentful that they're using police resources constantly for the few excessive cars that they have or the speeders they have on their street. They're tying up resources when East 6th Avenue is like flooded with bad driving and speeders and people illegally passing and running off the road when somebody stops suddenly. I see it all the time because I live there. I see it every day. And so I feel like police resources really need to be devoted to East 6th Avenue much more than say Oakdale. So thank you for understanding my frustration. But I
Hey,
was wondering if you could,
No worries.
if you could
the
comment
car-
on that, or
Yeah. For the Oakdale issue, it's called a diverter, not a blockade, because it diverts
Oh,
traffic
okay.
one way or the other.
yes,
Um,
okay, I'm sorry, I used the wrong
No,
terminology.
it's semantics. But anyway, we're working on renderings of what the final solution will be for that diverter.
Mhm.
Because it is working based on the analysis data and resident input.
Okay. Mhm.
And the car that you see, I mean, I hate to say it out public, and this is being recorded, but we basically have to tow that car
Mhm.
to those locations because there's nobody sitting in that car.
Yes.
It's a dummy car, and that car needs to be replaced. And we just move it from location to location. And right now, I believe
it's good to
it's
use
a-
it in that way because that does work. People see it and they immediately slow down. I noticed that.
yeah, I believe it's on 6th now.
Yes, I did see it there today.
Yeah, so it does work. Because we did get some complaints about speeding on 6th Avenue.
Mhm.
And we're working on getting additional data for that to see if we need to make any adjustments. But and we did appropriation requests for intersection improvements at, again, those 3 locations that I discussed. So hopefully we get that money. If not, we'll continue to ask for it.
Mhm.
So that traffic goes a little bit smoother, they'll go slower.
Yeah.
And not having to speed to make up time.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. But thank you so much for being patient with me and understanding my frustration. I really
no-
appreciate it.
No worries. And don't get mad if you wave at the officer in the car and he doesn't wave back because there's nobody in there.
Okay. Okay, it does work though, so I
Yeah.
appreciate having it there
Well,
on Sixth
well-
Avenue whenever it can be there.
We'll keep that a secret, you know?
Yes, all right, I won't know, no one will hear it from my lips. But thank you, Mr. Smith. I appreciate your time and your
No, you're
attention.
very welcome. You're very
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye, take care. All right, anybody else? It's completely open discussion, Q&A, so, Tom, anything? Just nothing, you're just here to listen, you know, kind of bored
Yeah,
on
no,
a,
I just put my
Tuesday
hand
night?
up. I'm not real good at the Zoom stuff yet, so,
it's only
I don't
been
know.
like 3 years, man.
yeah. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I went down Park to, behind my house out to 535.
Yeah.
The county has reduced that 45-mile zone to 35 now.
Yes, sir.
So,
I found out
I
that,
figured you'd want to know that, or you probably already did know that, but
yeah, usually once I hit that, like, I think that little curve, that's when I hit the gas and I'm like, I saw it, I'm like, oh, nope,
Yeah.
can't do it anymore.
I'm hoping that maybe that diverts somebody from going through here and maybe go farther north on Roberson or something instead of coming all the way down here. But I
We
don't
would
know. if
hope.
that's gonna- We hope, but I don't know if that's
Yeah.
gonna work, but at least it'll slow them down because
Yeah,
I walked down there with the dog in the morning up toward, Windermere Club, and man, the cars are just blasting along through there.
yeah,
The other day I had a guy in a BMW passing somebody.
yeah. I mean, you can't fix stupid.
Now, I know.
But yeah, thankfully, they didn't even ask us or work in concert with us. They just did it. Like I know Winter Garden did it on Hartwood Marsh, and hoping that would reduce the amount of traffic flow on that road, and it's not.
Yeah.
And that's because it's completely overdeveloped in that area, and they continue to develop in that area. But it does slow it down, but you're always going to have those anomalies.
Well, I thought it was nice. At least it slows the traffic down where the kids are going to school and stuff, and I'm hoping it helps to slow them down before they get to the town limits, before they used to wait till they got to the school before they'd slow down. So maybe.
Yeah. And,
it'll-
I mean, I was guilty of it once, I'd go home down Park, and then once I saw that 45, I hit the gas, but I would never go over, 5 miles over the speed limit,
Right.
because you're gonna hit that stop sign anyway.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was a good move by the county.
Okay. That's all. I just want to make sure you had seen that.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Okay.
JR?
Yeah, I do have actually thought of something. We were talking about traffic. Right at the corner here of where we are on First and Main, there's a couple sections where you have the flashing lights installed for the crosswalks.
Mhm.
Is it possible to put an induction loop in on the dirt road here so that when you pull up to make a left or right onto Main, especially in the mornings, going to school, the traffic, that those lights would maybe come on, which would sort of help the cars slow down or even stop so that you can get out and make a safe left-hand turn to head to the school? Because right now it's really tough in the mornings.
Yeah, we'd have to do a traffic engineering study on that, because those are pedestrian crosswalks, and that's where the WAGs come in. I think the best thing to give you guys more space to get in and out would be a roundabout at Windermere Road and Main, because then you're not metering cars like you have right now, and it gives you those gaps that you'd be able to get through. In the mornings now, there's just so much traffic, and 6th Avenue is so backed up that you'll have the southbound traffic let you go, but you're pretty much rolling the dice when you take a left onto North Main, hoping that nobody's going. But yes, I mean, once we don't want to open the floodgates on Windermere Road and Main until we do improvements at 6th Avenue. So we look at 2 continuous north and south on the roundabout, and then keep the existing loop to hopefully keep the traffic flowing. And then once that's done, then do the improvements at Windermere Road, and then hopefully that'll stop the metering of the stop signs, because you have stop, go, and that creates this continuous pattern of cars when you have them going just through the roundabout, then they're all on a stack, and then you have those gaps that you're able to get through. But yeah, that's something that we've always been looking at, but as far as creating a pseudo, I would compare it to maybe a fire department's, caution lights or whatever it is to get out.
Right, yeah.
I don't think we're able to do something like that. Whether it's because of the agreement that we have with Orange County when we took over those roads, or just the logistics of it. It just might be too much, but hopefully we get those other improvements in place.
So just out of curiosity about that, because my wife has always asked this question,
Mhm.
and I don't really know if we, I guess maybe there is something, but if we maintain those roads, is there, and why couldn't we do something where like there's a toll to come through town where, everyone who lives in the town doesn't pay it, but people that do come from one side of Orange County to the other, it costs a certain amount of money to come through, and it helps pay for our roads.
Contractually, we cannot do that based on Orange County. We cannot impede the traffic flow, lower the speed limit on that roadway. If we do that, then we are in violation of the agreement. Then we have to get the roads back to Orange County, which allows them to possibly 4-lane that roadway.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which I know some people will disagree with me on it, but the amount of cars that are coming through here, I almost don't see 4 lanes as being a bad thing if it was done correctly and included bike lane and multi-model path and proper drainage and everything else. But that's my personal opinion. It just the traffic isn't gonna, the traffic's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse. So
Yeah, and studies have shown that adding pavement doesn't help traffic; it actually increases it. So everybody's going to the safe streets program, which we pretty much are with our current configuration. So, yeah, I wish I could stop the traffic and put a moratorium on development in Horizons West, but
yeah,
we're
at
in the
least
middle. We're pretty much an island, and the only cut through that they can
Yeah.
utilize.
Well, I mean, I at least come up with a way to do a breakup of that stack, because it really in the mornings, we will sit there sometimes for 5 minutes at one point
Yeah,
trying, and I mean, having kids in the car and you try to make this left turn and you're like, it's a little bit nerve wracking sometimes.
yeah. I mean, maybe the safest thing for you is to go down to 5th and then use that roundabout. It's inconvenient, but that would probably be the safest way.
Yeah.
But once we are able to do those improvements at 6th and Windermere Road, it's something that we're just going to have to deal with, because that's combined probably about $4 million. And my operating budget is probably about 6 million. And we only get 2 million out of ad valorem taxes. Everybody's like, well, my taxes pay for this, my taxes pay for that. We have the lowest millage rate in Orange County.
Right.
And I mean, it's not really something to put a feather in your cap over, because that means you still have the ability to increase your taxes to pay for some of these things. But the majority of your
by no means do I
taxes,
want you to do not
yeah.
Don't
But
blow the budget and do not increase the taxes. I'm
Yes,
let's
but when you
find
look at
cheaper
your tax
solutions.
bill or the property appraiser's website, you can see where the majority of your taxes go to. So people think they're paying like thousands and thousands of dollars to the town of Windermere. No, it's like 90% going to the school board, the Windermere Navigation Board. You still have to pay Orange County. So we're just getting a sliver of that pie.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like something very, inexpensive, like an induction loop and a flashing light that says like warning cars, block driveway. Like if you're in New York City, they have those. It's like driveway blocked from view, and it's just like an alert that kind of comes on when the car comes out of the parking garage, kind of deal.
Yeah,
Cheap
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, we were thinking about like the do not block the 4-way intersections, but then pretty much every block is a 4-way intersection, so we'd be backing up traffic probably back over to McCoey if we're to put something like that in. But
Right.
yeah, we're trying to do our best with
What about
dealing
like
with other
just a sign that's like a yield for car or something like that?
We'd have to make sure it meets the MUTCD codes from FDOT, because every sign we put up has to be justified. So we'd have to take a look at that, and then we also don't want to inundate the entire town with signage.
And speaking of signage, so on the way into town where we have the true brick pillars that we hang the banners up for food truck night or whatever, has that ever been discussed to be maybe made more of an electronic type sign that could have different messages and things like that? I'm not saying flashy billboard, but just something a little bit better.
Yeah, that was discussed a couple of years ago and went down in burning flames.
Yeah. I mean, the school has a sign and it's nice, and I don't think anyone's complained about the school being, a flashy billboard sign. And I think maybe it's time to relook at it now that people have seen, and frankly, the demographics have shifted and we're an electronic society now.
Well, if it comes from a resident at a public meeting to tell town council that, then, and if they're agreement, I'll take a look at it. But yeah, that was not a good. That was
suggest it.
All right, yeah, because that was a heck of experience last time.
Yeah.
Because anything that's proposed, even though maybe resident initiated or town council initiated, staff is usually the one that gets the spotlight, saying that this is something that we want. So as long as the residents want it and council approves it, then we're more than happy to put it up.
Okay, well, thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Jeremy. I see a 321 number. Do you have anything on the 321 number?
No, I found out that we were going to ask about the boat ramp issue when they were going to open up the lake, and I found out that I understand that that's already been addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I can address it again. We're waiting on Orange County. Once the lake levels hit a certain point, then they're going to open up their ramps. So once they open up theirs, we'll open up ours. It's counterproductive if we open up ours and then they keep theirs closed. And then, as I told Jonathan earlier, it becomes, again, a huge enforcement issue, because once you open those 2 ramps that we have, everybody's gonna be trying to use them. So we're following, in line with Orange County.
Oh, so I get it. So Orange County, if they don't open and we open, then everybody's going to ours. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd be an enforcement nightmare. And I mean, there'll be cars parked up and down Forest and Butler and all sorts of stuff. So we're just waiting for them to give the go ahead, and they're continuously monitoring the lake levels. But once it hits underneath that magic number, and we've been in kind of a drought lately, then they'll open it up. But I know they're getting a lot of heat to open up those ramps too.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, it's 6:40. If nobody else has any other questions, thank you all for calling in. Thank you all for participating. This is the way that we're able to get some information and also get the pulse of the community. So this is recorded. So if you have any topics that you want to send to your friends, family, or neighbors, please feel free. It'll be posted tomorrow. But thanks for spending a little bit of your Tuesday night with me. We have town council on the 14th, and then we have the Lake Down workshop on the 28th. So with that said, I'll go ahead and stop recording. And